A lot of people don't realize just how trauma and stress affects developing children. It has a really deep imprint in the brain development of a child, especially during those first critical years. So 0 to 3 or 0 to 5 is an incredibly important time, and children are very sensitive to trauma and toxic stress.
So we know as children grow up that childhood trauma not only impacts their mental health and comes out in so many ways, and when they go to school and jobs, how they're living their lives with their friends, families, but also now more and more the medical community is waking up to the impacts of childhood trauma. After the Adverse Childhood Experiences study came out, and we know that childhood trauma affects people in terms of chronic disease rates being higher, in terms of mortality rates being higher. And with that, we know that we as a collective society need to work on it together, including the medical community.
Resilience to me is like a car's airbags. If you have a car that they put a lot of work into, it has airbags in the front and in the back and behind, and you're very safe when it comes to an accident and trauma. And I think life's resilience is a lot like that, where the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more social connections, the more healthy habits, the more people you have surrounding you. Those are like your airbags. Those are the tools that build resilience in people.
We're using a collective impact model to address childhood trauma and building resilience because it's one agency by itself cannot really get the kind of long-term sustainable change in the community that's needed.
In collective impact, in order to really move forward, you need a strong backbone organization who knows cross-sector agencies, businesses, politicians, community members, and can pull us together. And United Way in being able to pull us together on this very difficult, complicated subject of childhood trauma and then moving us towards resiliency as a community is the perfect organization to do that in terms of their long history in this community, their history of not only pulling people together in terms of funding, but also in terms of conversation.
We're responsible for helping to develop a shared system of measuring our success and the agenda that we've all bought into. And then we help align the work that the individual organizations are doing so that it promotes the common agenda as opposed to just the work of one organization. And then finally, a real important part is around metrics. How do we know if we're going to be successful? So we're working with OSU and with all the players to work on one single methodology for tracking our success.
United Way is one of the agencies taking a lead role in organizing nonprofits, pulling us together around united outcomes, and it's just amazing to have that kind of leadership role, especially in the face of all the brain science around trauma and the impact of trauma on families.
What we're asking folks to do is to become aware and knowledgeable about the issue of trauma, to be able to recognize what that looks like and to be able to respond to it in positive ways. What we're talking about here, there isn't a perfect program that we're trying to develop. It's more of a culture change. How do we live together in a way that promotes each other's growth and learning so that we all will prosper?
Collective impact only works if you have a strong backbone organization, and I can't think of a better organization to pull us together.
It's just amazing the work that United Way is doing in our community.
I believe that we're well on our way to becoming the Central Oregon that we all dream we want to be.
United Way stands for the health,
education,
and financial stability
of every person in our community.